Brain dead for the mass. Brain dead for the masses. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum. The ANC stood proud one day. We've got a better plan, they'd say. Hey Elon, buddy, take a hike. We don't need your satellite. Hit the road, Jack, don't come back. We've got our own broadband attack. Faster, cheaper, black-owned too. We'll show the world just what we'll do. Well, Elon shrugged, said, suit yourselves. Put another trophy on the shelves. Launch an IPO, watch the numbers soar. Now he's worth $1 trillion, maybe more. Brain dead for the masses. What a master class in classes. 15 kilobits of blazing speed. If you've got a week to read your feed. Meanwhile, satellites are streaking through the sky, streaming movies while the buffalo stroll by. Brain dead for the masses. Who needs progress? Who needs passes? When common sense gets shown the door, you just announce there's something more. The deputy stood behind the mic. Here's the future that you'll like. Brain sat here, hip hip hooray. The crowd asked when, he said someday. Power through the Thoriya beams. Not exactly sci-fi dreams. Open one web page, make some tea. Maybe it'll load by 3:30. Across the continent, people grin, watching football zooming in. 50, 100, 400 megs, while BrainSat stretches both its legs. It's buffering, buffering, buffering still. Maybe tomorrow, if it will. Brain dead for the masses. Winning races, coming last is. Loading emails one by one. By the time they're sent, the deal is done. Elon's laughing all the way, counting dollars every day. Born right here, but shown the gate. That's a rather awkward fate. Sometimes pride can cloud the view. When politics outruns what's true, you can slam the door with quite a flair, but someone else still gets you there. So here's a toast with tongue-in-cheek to promises both bold and sleek. If irony were broadband speed, South Africa would surely lead. Brain dead for the masses. History writes the strangest classes. Wave goodbye as rockets climb. While you're waiting, one more time. Hit the road, Jack, ring loud and clear. Now the punchline's crystal here. Some jokes simply write themselves. Just check the download bar and laugh. And laugh.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Wednesday, July 8th, 2026. Welcome back, folks. Sorry, this is a shirt I bought 25 years ago. I still have it. Yep, still fits. 25 years ago. Still fits. Look at that. That's nice, even though I got a little chubby. Anyway, welcome back to the program. Wednesday, July 8th, 2026. Your daily dose, your daily injection, your daily protection against hyperbole, hysteria, yellow journalism, disinformation, misinformation, government propaganda, and hate wankers online. Speaking of that, let me just talk very quickly here about something. Okay, so anybody that's been watching my program for any amount or length of time will know that whenever somebody tries to post a phone number or an email address in the chat, either I or my moderators remove it instantaneously. Instantaneously. That is personally identifiable information. I do not share that stuff. That's not available. You should not be putting that in the chat. By the same token, anybody who actually watches my program, use a little bit of judgment here. If you go on to social media, for instance, on my channel, and someone has posted a response to your comment when you ask for a phone number, and then you fall for it, that is on you. That is not on me. I do not publish phone numbers. Anyone's, let alone my own. I don't even give phone numbers away to people without other people's permission. I never, except in an emergency, give someone a phone number that belongs to someone else. It's a personal phone number without first having asked them. One of the reasons why Mr. Holmes is so angry with me. He wanted Rob Hersoff's number, and because he didn't get it, he took it out on me and was a very nasty and disgusting and vile human being. I did pass his information for the little hate wanker along to Rob Hersoff, but obviously he's got nothing to offer Rob Hersoff, and so the loser took it out on me. I do not publish phone numbers. On my post about the 127,000 subscribers, which was a month ago, people congratulated me. A bot or a clown went on and posted a response and said something along the lines. Let me find this very quickly here. Excuse me. They responded, "Thanks for the comment. WhatsApp me," in these black letters. I don't even know how to do that. And then it must be a font. And then they give a phone number, which is in the United States. "I would really like to speak to you regarding your situation. Please, it's urgent." And I won't mention the name. And then they respond 3 hours ago. "We've been following you since February last year, and we did the forms when we had to. We've done all the steps we had to put in, but we seem to be stuck. Our something was all well, went to complete, now back in progress. I don't know. I know you can't help, but very anxious to get there. Our medical thing expires. Thank you for all you do. And then I could at least contact somebody in our new country. Lots of love. Stay safe." Well, thank you for that. But that is not me. And because a photograph, which is easily copied and stolen on the internet, is being used by a fraud, you shouldn't fall for it. I won't show you this image because I've not had time to block out the person's name, and I'm not going to expose them. Although it was publicly available, I just don't want to embarrass them. So I'm not going to do that. But I will make this in a video when I'm done here and explain to people. This person said thanks for the comment and listed a phone number with a 769 area code. I don't even know where that's at. Folks, you have to have better judgment. This is why when I interview them or I speak to them the first time, I insist on a video call on WhatsApp. I insist on a video call. So if you've ever talked to me, you'll know that I always insist on a video call if I've never met you in person. Why? Because of frauds. You have to use better judgment than this, folks. Some of you are so gullible. I'm sorry, you are. I mean, actually, I know. There's a handful of you here that are Shelley Hepburn fans. You're spies, and you go lie over there, and you say nice things about me in the chat here, and then you call me a narcissistic prick on the other channel. Well, I know who you are. You think that I don't know who you are? It's pretty funny. But seriously, I would never give out my phone number in social media, ever. I don't even put my phone number in most emails. It's just not very smart to do. You've got to be smarter than that. You've got to be smarter than that. So if you fall for that, I can't help you. And you get angry at me because you didn't use good judgment. That's not on me. That is not on me. That is on you. I can try to tell you. I can try to help you. I can try to be preemptive like this. But if you make bad decisions, you make bad decisions. I didn't tell you to have 4 bottles of beer before you got behind the wheel. You made that choice, not me. I told you not to do it. I didn't tell you to lie to USCIS. You chose to do it, and now you're not here. That's not my fault. That's your fault. All right? I think that was important to talk about. Well, it's over. The ceasefire is over. Well, essentially it's over. Trump says it's over. The media reporting is over, but Trump didn't really say that. He said, I think it's over. There's a difference. The war is back on. It is time to pummel the terrorist into oblivion. Yep, it's time for that, folks. Trump says the ceasefire with Iran is over in the latest attacks. President says more strikes could happen as soon as Wednesday night and threatens to reimpose a naval blockade. In starkest sign yet that diplomacy has stalled.
To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people. and they're vicious, violent people. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. I'll speak to our negotiators. They want to negotiate. They're good people. Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. But they have to come back to me. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars. We make a deal. And if I make a deal with him, we have a deal. And he goes out, he talks. We make a deal. Everyone's agreed. No nuclear weapon. We make a deal. They go outside, talk to the press. They say, we never even talked about it. There's something wrong with them. They're cuckoo. As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
They're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It's over, folks.
Birdie told me this.
It's time to bomb them into oblivion. President Trump said he believed the ceasefire deal was over. We hit them very hard last night. We'll probably hit them hard again tonight. I'll give them a little warning. We're going to hit them hard tonight. We'll see how it all works out. Wow. To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're liars. They're cheats. They're sick people. Now I'll let our wonderful negotiators keep talking if they want, but I don't see it. Yep. Trump says U.S.-Iran ceasefire is over after the Hormuz strikes. Trump said negotiations could continue in a broader deal while warning that the U.S. is gearing up for more strikes against Iran. Just a waste of time dealing with them. They can talk, but I think they're wasting their time. South Africa is slow to block forced labor imports, but relevant law does exist. Kasatu tells U.S. Okay. Kasatu says South Africa struggled to ban the import of goods produced using forced labor as an enforcement issue, not a legislative shortcoming. The argument forms part of the Trade Union Federation's submission to the U.S. Trade Representative. Kasatu, the Union Solidarity, and the government have all argued that an additional 12.5% tariff on the South African exports would hurt the South African economy. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Can we charge Kasatu with treason? Can we charge the Congress of Southern African Trade Unions with treason? They're in America talking to the U.S. Trade Representative, a representative of the U.S. government. When the Freedom Front Plus does it, a member of Government National Unity, a member of the actual government, they're called treasonous. When AfriForum, a civil rights organization, and Solidarity, a labor union, do it, they're called traitors. And a treason case is open against them. How about a treason case against Kasatu? Are we going to open a treason case against Kasatu? No, of course not, because it's asinine. Just like any allegation by racist, black supremacists in the Mkhonto we Sizwe party and EFF about treason against Derek Bice and Yaku Kleinhans and all the others from Solidarity and AfriForum is utter poppycock. It's poppycock. Do you see how the racists in South Africa play the game? Attacking white people. But when organizations represent everybody, like AfriForum, because they represent everybody, but when Solidarity, but when Kasatu goes to America, nothing to say, nothing to see, nothing to do here. I don't hear the treason charges for Kasatu. Where are they at? There are none. The hypocrisy is beyond belief. Kasatu can come to America and can lobby the U.S. government on behalf of South Africans. So they're not called traitors. But when Solidarity does it, they're called traitors. Just a bunch of useless fucking racists attacking people. Do anybody see the irony? Does anybody see the irony? That's right. Suzanne always attacked the strongest performers. That's why Miss Bathrobe attacks me, the sad, pathetic little person. Yep. You attack the front runner. Always attack the front runner. Yep. Well, apparently Pete Fillon lied to a U.S. judge. He claimed his father had cancer. What? This guy, they never stopped getting in the news. It's the state's version that disbarred attorney Pete Fillon lied to a U.S. judge, claiming his father was dying of prostate cancer to get deported. Wow. He was arrested and faced 4 new charges. This emerged during his bail application today. An affidavit opposing his bail, the investigating officer from the Hawks, Ursula Francisca Herforth, cited Fillon's court proceedings in the U.S. in which he had requested deportation. During these proceedings, Fillon told the judge that his medical condition in the U.S. was deteriorating and that he had learned in the meantime that my father is dying of prostate cancer. I beg this court, if you cannot grant me permission to leave voluntarily, then order that I be deported. I beg the court to allow me to at least greet my father before he dies. My case is urgent. My lungs are still not functioning properly, and this place will not give me my medication. I will die in here. I beg the court to treat this matter as urgent. Well, first off, that's a lie. No criminal justice system in America would deny medication that's prescribed to a person. This guy is such an ass. Such an ass. I swear. He is such an ass. I mean, honestly, come on, man. This Mel and Pete Fillon, these guys are just such clowns. I mean, honestly, what's the deal with these two? I mean, honestly, can somebody tell me what their deal is? The people, the little hate wankers who are from that other channel who go over and spread their hate and call me narcissistic. You want to say narcissist? Look at those two. Those are narcissists. It's all about them. They don't help anybody. They use people, just like that other platform does, uses people. Yeah, so my case is urgent. My lungs are still not functioning properly. Well, they work well enough for you to comment in court. What an idiot.
They touched down in the Sunshine State with a plan so grand, thinking they'd be the royalty of this palm tree land. They thought the glamour and glitz was theirs for the taking. Like a birthright claim, all the moves they were making. From the roar of a Ferrari to the red soul stride of Christian Louboutin, they had nowhere to hide. Oh, the world figured out those schemes and those scams, turned the power couple into quiet little lambs. No one wants them now, the party's gone dry underneath the hot and heavy Florida sky. Don't defraud America, the lesson is plain, or you find your lifestyle going down the drain. They went from fine dining and vintage champagne to a plastic tray and a heavy iron chain. It's a long fall from grace, a bitter old breeze from high-end fashion
To mac and cheese.
Shoplifting doesn't pay. Didn't they know? Now they're stars of a very different show. Poor old Pete is locked up in alligator Alcatraz, lost his designer suits and all of that jazz. And Mel's sitting tight, looking out through the wire at the Broward County Ice Facility. The situation is dire. You can take the huckster out of South Africa, it's true, but the scheming stays stuck to them like glue.
Oh.
Will they be convicted? Will they be deported? All their golden dreams have been well and truly thwarted. Time will tell the ending, but the moral is clear. Don't bring your rackets and your swindles round here. No, don't defraud America. Oh, yeah.
Fillon's sister was never told about her father's supposed medical condition. The sister confirmed that their father has never informed her that he suffers from prostate cancer. Therefore, he lied to the judge. Investigating officer also highlighted a series of racial slurs Fillon made during his time in the U.S. He said, among others, that he does not speak baboon anymore. Who does speak baboon? What is that? He said this was a racist and derogatory remark made against some of South Africa's indigenous language. Oh, that's what it means. Okay. So it's directed against the Khoi and San? Okay, I didn't realize that was a term applied against the Khoi and San. Those are the only indigenous people in South Africa. The investigating officer also said that Fillon threatened them when he was arrested at the airport. The moment that the applicant saw me, he told me he became loud, aggressive, and spoke in a threatening and intimidating tone. What followed was a continuous and sustained attempt by Mr. Fillon to intimidate and threaten anyone. Wow. She said Fillon called her a bully. She said would pay for it. She would pay for it and that he would sue them. He also told her in Afrikaans, you know this crap is going to come back to you. You know it. May the effing devil himself look after you. Ooh. Meanwhile, in his affidavit, Fillon sought to distance himself from the shoplifting allegation that led to him and his wife Mel being arrested. They blamed their alleged months-long shoplifting at a U.S. supermarket squarely on Mel. He did. Well, she blamed it on him. No. Yeah, she said it was her fault. Yeah, sorry. What does hell Chris S mean? What does that mean? The couple, okay. He said, I was not involved in the payments, my wife was. It was a scheme by the two of them. He carried the stolen goods to the car. Therefore, he's complicit or an accessory. I don't, they try everything. Biz news. I didn't see that. Wow. Anyway. What is this? People in support of him. Pete Fillon empowered us through skills. We support him. It's a black woman. Pete Fillon deserves freedom and due process. Thank you, Pete, for believing in us. Pete Fillon created more than 1,000 jobs for black women. Well, Tammy Taylor doesn't think so. They're owed, what, $4 million, something like that? Oh, they refuse to speak to the reporters, which tells you they are a rent-a-crowd. An Eastern Cape man faces jail time for intimidating foreign nationals. Wow. One person. Siabonga Mkhia, 40, was arrested on Tuesday for allegedly threatening foreign nationals. His supporters picketed outside court while an anti-immigration group forced the closure of nearby foreign-owned shops. March and March's Eastern Cape organizer Azola Morano threatened that foreign-owned shops would not be allowed to open. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Jacinta Nkabisi Zuma said they were a peaceful organization. They threatened not to allow shops to open. Doesn't sound very peaceful to me. Doesn't really sound peaceful to me. Renewed strikes in Iran will push up costs for farmers in South Africa. This, not exactly rocket science from South Africa's apparently premier agriculture analyst, Wandile Shilobo, someone I'd like to interview. Wandile Shilobo. Fertilizer and fuel prices declined notably from the levels that we saw as early as May, but they're likely to go back up now, which is not unusual in summertime, regardless of conflict or not. The silent assassin returns to the Springboks lineup 8 years since Empress Papier was last in a jersey for the Bucks. He's back. He gets the nod at Loftus. Look at this. Empress Papier returns to Springboks lineup Saturday against Scotland. His first test appearance since November of 2018. Wow. He's been recalled, after which he scored 11 tries during the URC and won the South Africa's URC Player of the Season award. At long last, Ambrose Papier's Springboks return is in the cards. Having been part of the beginning of Rossi Erasmus' era in 2018, he fell down the pecking order as South Africa went on a dynasty run. From the sidelines, he watched Boks win back-to-back World Cups, multiple rugby championship titles, and a British and Irish Lions series while he was on the bench. But the likes of Herschel Yankees, Cobus Reinach, Faf de Klerk, and others moved up Grant Williams ahead of him. But he's back this weekend. The Junior Boks were trailing 14-0, and they won 52-33. What a comeback in Tbilisi. They overcame Wales, who were leading 14-0 after 11 minutes into the game. Wow. Nice comeback, eh? Nice comeback. Zimbabwe's corrupt, illegitimate president, who was illegitimately installed in the office after he fled the country to South Africa, and he was no longer vice president, but then just appointed president by Chiwenga, and then stole an election. That would be Emerson Mnangagwa, the crocodile, signs into law an extension of his term in office. More of these corrupt liberation-era frauds continuing to steal from Zimbabweans. How long will Zimbabweans put up with this nonsense? At 83, he pledges he'll step down when his second final term ends at the end of 2028. Yeah, don't hold your breath. One of Africa's largest gold producers has piled up 3.68 billion gold reserve in just 18 months. Tanzania has been boosting its gold reserves, acquiring 28 metric tons the last 18 months as part of a campaign to enhance foreign reserves and stabilize the country's currency. New regulations require large-scale miners to sell 20% of their gold to the central bank. Emmanuel Tutuba, governor of the Bank of Tanzania, stated the gold purchase now is worth $3.68 billion at current market prices. Yeah, but they bought high. Wait till the price of gold collapses. Tanzania will be in trouble. Their reserves will be worth nothing. Please confine your comments to the topics at hand. All right. Let's not talk about our personal problems here. This is not what this is about. Kenya and Tanzania suppress protests with heavy police deployments. Here are Kenyan plainclothes police officers arresting protesters. Heavy police deployments in the capitals of both Kenya and Tanzania suppressed planned protests on July 7th. It commemorates the 1990 struggle for multi-party democracy in Tanzania. It marks the founding of what would become the ruling party 72 years ago. In Tanzania's capital of Dar es Salaam, police and military personnel deployed. No protesters were seen. However, that wasn't the case in Kenya. Egypt were cheated, according to their sourpuss coach. Coach Hassan says they were cheated. Perhaps they wanted to keep the world champions in the competition. Boy, if you said this in rugby and your name was Rossi Erasmus, you would be barred for a year. Egypt's head coach Hossam Hassan, I guess because he's an Arab, he gets to say what he wants to say, claims his side was cheated out of place in World Cup quarterfinals. I don't want to put it nicely and talk about hard luck. We've been cheated unfairly today. We have suffered injustice. They had a goal overruled when they were leading 1-0. But they weren't cheated. Egypt had a 2-0 lead, and they collapsed like a cheap suit. They couldn't defend. They were pathetic. Argentina's goals, none of them should have been scored. None of them. But they gave up 3 goals, and they failed to score again. They missed open shots at the goal. Egypt failed because Egypt are losers. They come home, they're full of pride. Well, I wouldn't have spoke ill of the team, except that they whine about their loss. They lost to Argentina fair and square. Fair and square. But they're going to whine about it. That's your controversy right there. Egypt getting away with disparaging FIFA and nothing being done about it. Nothing being done about it. He should be barred from coaching for 2 years. Yeah, there you go. Trump says he'll remove Syria from the list of state sponsors of terrorism. President Trump said today that he'll lift Syria's designation as a state sponsor of terrorism. I think I will. Why wouldn't I? He's done a great job. And Syria would help the U.S. deal with Hezbollah. Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know about removing it from a state sponsor of terrorism. I'm not really convinced of that. Iran signals defiance as Trump fumes over the Strait of Hormuz strikes. The Iranian officials insist Tehran will not give up control of the waterway as U.S. attacks and the withdrawal of sanctions waivers threaten fragile truce. Well, here's an idea. Iran is defanged and barred from possessing a navy. Only allowed to have unarmed Coast Guard cutters. That's it. That's all they're allowed to have. Search and rescue boats and unarmed Coast Guard cutters. No Navy. Barred from owning drones along the coast. Yep, there you go. Iran, defiant. Iran's attack on the ships betrays their concern over losing grip because they are. Alternative routes, workarounds, and improved oil supplies are making it harder for them to exploit their leverage over the waterway. Iran's renewed attacks on tankers near the Strait of Hormuz are exposing a growing dilemma for Tehran's hardline leaders who are relying on their control of the waterway for leverage in talks to the U.S. but feeling their grip weaken as more ships slip through. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps fired missiles at 2 commercial ships and a drone to the third one near the strait on Tuesday, according to a senior U.S. official. Despite the threat of strikes, conservatives in Tehran have watched with rising alarm as traffic that was deterred from crossing during the war now ply the U.S.-backed route near Oman. Shipping through the strait has rebounded under President Trump's preliminary deal. Oil producers are also plowing through, and Iran cannot stop it. They are very frustrated. Hence their reason for acting like asses. Trump says the memorandum of understanding to end the war in Iran is over. Done. Time to get back to spanking them down. Syria says that 1 person was killed and 36 wounded in a blast in Damascus during Emmanuel Macron's visit. Syrian authorities say 1 person has died after explosions rocked Syria's capital on Tuesday as French President Emmanuel Macron visited the city. The State Ministry of Health reported at least 36 people wounded. The blast struck central Damascus near the Ministry of Tourism and the Four Seasons Hotel, a day after Macron had stayed the night there. Wow. My goodness. The super typhoon that hit Guam and the Northern Marianas Islands is headed towards Taiwan. That's not good. Look at that. There's a Pacific Island with the Pacific Ocean with the island chains superimposed on the map. You can see the Philippines and Taiwan and it is right in the middle. Super Typhoon Bavi. 4 days after striking U.S. territory of Rota in the Northern Marianas, the Category 5 strength Super Typhoon Bavi is still churning through the West Pacific like an atmospheric buzzsaw. Concern is now growing in Taiwan and Japan, where the system could skirt past or directly hit them later this week. It could be devastating to both places. They are both heavily populated. Europe has unveiled a $50 billion long-range missile initiative as NATO is pushing for stronger deterrence. UK-led project aims to bolster NATO's strike capabilities. A coalition of 12 European countries will spend $50 billion over 10 years on a new long-range missile system with precision strike capability to expand NATO's deterrence in Europe. With deep precision strike capability, UK and our other allies will be able to hit high-value military targets. Why do they need that? Why don't we just sell them ATACMS? ATACMS. ATACMS are deep strike. Just sell them ATACMS. Let us make the money. Marine Le Pen will be running for office despite the bogus conviction against her. The far-right leader plans to mount her campaign while appealing her embezzlement conviction. Far-right leader Marine Le Pen said she plans to run in next year's presidential elections, mounting a campaign that faces legal minefields stemming from her conviction for misusing European Parliament funds. There's not even French money. She got convicted of a crime from the European Union by a French court. Le Pen announced the decision after appellate judges reduced a lower court sentence that had barred her from seeking office for 5 years. Judges narrowed the effective ban to 15 months, which she's already passed. Tonight, I'm a candidate for the presidential election, she said. Yep. Le Pen's decision to run for France's highest office despite her criminal conviction is unprecedented. Well, yeah, it's true, because most French leaders are simply convicted of crimes after they left office. Nicolas Sarkozy. France want me to run. Jacques Chirac, they're all convicted after they leave office. We're not producing ATACMS fast enough in Latvia. We're still waiting for our order from 2021. Really? Then why are we giving them to Ukraine, Donnie? Thank you for sharing. And welcome from Latvia. Wow. In Latvia, welcome. I didn't know anybody in the Baltics. I love Latvia. I've been to Riga. What a beautiful town, despite the Soviets. It's been well restored. What a beautiful town. And I didn't find any amber along the Baltic coast. Yeah, no, we're giving ATACMS to Ukraine. So apparently we have enough. I don't know why your order hasn't been fulfilled. 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. Oh, that would be during Joe Biden's term. But to be fair, Trump's been president now for 18 months. He should have sent those as well. Interesting. Oh, you got the launchers, but no missiles. Well, that's messed up. Thank you for the update. I didn't know that. That's fascinating. All right. Well, the Baltic states are part of NATO, and they're actually reliable NATO partners, actually spend their share of their defense budget, especially Estonia. We should support those countries. We certainly didn't do it at the end of the Second World War, when the Forrest brothers had to hide out in the Baltic states, particularly in Estonia. The last one was August Sabi, who the KGB tried to capture in the 1980s. And he dove into a creek and drowned, or so the KGB tells us. Anyway, yep. Wow. Interesting. Well, thank you. Welcome from Latvia. Fascinating. Didn't know we had anybody from the Baltic states watching. Trump calls Spain wasted cause and threatens to cut ties. Well, I don't disagree. This is a corrupt state that is letting the soft underbelly of Europe be invaded, just like happened under the Moors. The United States and Spain have been at loggerheads since Spain declined to join NATO allies last year and pledged to increase defense spending. Spain is a wasted cause. We don't do any trade business with Spain anymore. Terrible partner in NATO. They don't participate. They don't pay. They don't want to do anything. Cut off all trade with Spain, including visits. Well, that's kind of a problem, though, for the United States, geostrategically, given that we rely on Marone and Rota bases for our presence in the Mediterranean. We can count on Italy, but we have these bases in Spain. Finland is a skeptic when it comes to Chinese electrical vehicles, with good reason. Finland shows the trust barrier facing Chinese EV makers in the West. Plus, consumers ask whether the cars spy on them, have kill switches, or fund the Communist Party. Well, that's a fair question. Yes, we have them upstairs. The receptionist at Mercedes-Benz dealership on the edge of the city of Helsinki told this Chinese reporter last month after I asked whether the showroom carried any Chinese electric cars. Upstairs, past a row of certified pre-owned German sedans, was a showroom within a showroom, a fleet of BYD models, a yellow Dolphin Surf, a navy Otto, and a black Seal. Marked sold, waiting for my new owner. Yes, it looked like the Chinese are taking over Europe, but it's not working so well in Finland. 3 things working at the Chinese. First, the Finns have mostly stopped buying anything big. Their annual car sales, 100,000 before the war in Ukraine, have dropped to 71,000, about 72,000 per year. People are putting their money under the pillow for now. EVs themselves also remain a hard sell to conservative Finnish drivers. The country's own transport minister told them that the internal combustion engine will stay forever. Then there's the China-specific suspicion. Finns ask whether the cars spy on them, whether they have kill switches, and whether the money flows to the Communist Party. Well, I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt at all that it flows to the Chinese Party. Is it Donnie? Where'd he go there? Donnie Pook. Oh, man, excuse me. Head's bothering me there. Well, the Danish Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, says that Greenland's not for sale. Europe's last colonizer, its colonies of the Faroes and the Greenland island, continues to maintain its colonial presence. How can cars automatically be speed limited when there's no speed limit in Germany? Are they overriding German law, Donnie? Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen said, "We're ready to defend every inch of NATO, including our own territory." Yeah, okay. Sure, we hope that all, including our allies, will respect the Greenland's people's right for self-determination. Greenland, of course, is not for sale. Of course, she talks about Greenland's right for self-determination while being a colonial power. She's not respecting the Greenlanders' right to self-determination. It's still a colonial possession of Greenland. They control its foreign affairs, its defense, its foreign policy. I mean, come on, seriously? The Germans will stand for a lot of bullshit, but they won't stand for losing their unlimited speed limits. A lot of the Autobahn's already regulating. Denmark says it will defend Greenland as Trump threatens to revive NATO crisis. Shortly after arriving at NATO meeting in Turkey, Trump restarted the divisive fight, telling reporters that Greenland should be controlled by the United States, not by Denmark. He added that European refusal to accept this will hurt my relationship with NATO. Yep, no doubt. There she is, Mette Frederiksen. There she is. Trump keeps them going. Where am I supposed to get that from? UK refugee applicants and asylum seekers are upset that the British government expects them to pay for their free ride. Not even all of it, but just some of it. Refugees and NGOs cry the government's plan to make people pay £10,000 towards subsistence fees. Frank, not his real name, spends his weekends with relatives in London from Monday to Friday. He sleeps rough in the streets of southeast London, close to a church that once ran a support group he used to visit. It's not something he's told his employer or the UK's Home Office. I'm going for a night shift now, carrying my belongings in this bag, but of course they can't confirm that I'm on the street or not. He doesn't tell his colleagues he's homeless. The 38-year-old arrived in the UK from Nigeria in 2019 on a tourist visa. He fraudulently entered the country in 2019 on a tourist visa. And Al Jazeera wants us to have empathy for him, sympathy. He's a fraud. He's a criminal. He has no business in the United Kingdom. I have no empathy for him whatsoever. Go home to Nigeria. He then enrolled in a course so he could get a student visa. He couldn't afford tuition, so now he tried asylum. He claims there's kidnappings in his hometown near Lagos. You're Nigerian. Move to Abuja. Move to the Delta. Tule is not called Tule anymore. Piftifuk is Tule. It's the same place, Holden. He works part-time under a restricted arrangement while he waits for a decision. He's recovering from a fractured leg he broke in 2024 when jumping over a fence. Fleeing an immigration check he feared was a ruse to detain him. He walks with a limp. So this guy invaded England, entered under false pretenses in 2019 as a tourist. Then he fraudulently enrolled in a school to get a tourist visa, never paid his tuition, so he was disenrolled. So then he sought asylum to stay in the UK. And then, instead of answering the questions of immigration officials, he fled from them, committing another crime, broke his leg, and now he says he's a cripple, and it's disability, and it means poverty back home. Well, that's your problem, Frank. You're a criminal. You have no business in the UK. The fact the UK tolerates this bullshit is the reason the country is collapsed. Gone. I'm sorry, no sympathy. No sympathy whatsoever. And that story goes on and on. Well, the blackouts in Cuba have this might be the end of the Cuban communist regime, the way it's going. Cuba blackout sparks protests as authorities struggle to restore power. Nationwide blackouts have hit Cuba over the past year, but it's getting progressively worse. They protested yesterday across Havana after nationwide power failure left millions without electricity. The latest blackout comes as Cuba faces mounting pressure from aging infrastructure and fuel shortages. Here you go. Women walk past stripped, derelict bus carcasses parked in a yard neighborhood in western Havana. That was on July 5th. This is Cuba. This is the paradise. This is the communist heaven that the ANC loves. This is what happens under communism. Yeah, he wants compensation for being a criminal. I don't think so. Canada is rushing to rebuild its pathetic military. The country has long lagged behind NATO allies in defense spending, but the Prime Minister says it has to do more. Well, it's long overdue. Canada has been in decline ever since they disbanded the Parabat Regiment after Somalia. For decades, Canada's military has been considered a weak link in NATO. Now it's rushing to rearm. In the past year, they've met their North Atlantic Treaty Organization spending target of 2%, which was agreed to 16 years ago. 16 years ago, it took them to finally get there this year. Wow. Defense spending, Canada just got over 2%. See 2014? Look at that. Unbelievable. Yep. Elbridge Colby, Pentagon's Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, rebuked Canada in May, saying the country had failed to make credible progress on its defense commitments. He said in a series of posts on social media, the U.S. will be suspending its participation in a joint U.S.-Canada Defense Board that was set up in 1940. In 1940, because Canada is not living up to their obligations. Trump threatens to take more strikes on Iran, saying the ceasefire is over. It is over. Yes, Pearl Vitboy, Cuba is the darling of the ANC. Trump says ceasefire is over, calling its leaders scum. Who could disagree with that? He plans further strikes on Iran and considering reimposing the naval blockade. President Trump says U.S. will allow Ukraine to make Patriot missiles for air defense. This is a major mistake. This is a major mistake. Trump is making a mistake. This is a major mistake. Giving Ukraine this advanced technology will backfire. You cannot trust this corrupt country for a second. Well, the Southern Poverty Law Center, the alleged criminal racketeering organization, has pled innocent, even though they're caught red-handed. The indictment alleges $4.1 million in donor funds were funneled to individuals who were actually within extremist groups so that the Southern Poverty Law Center could get more money to confirm its existence. The Southern Poverty Law Center entered a not guilty plea to 11 criminal counts yesterday that it defrauded donors. The charges announced on April 21st by Kash Patel and Acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche sparked political backlash and growing questions about this group. Yep. The group has allegedly surreptitiously transferred more than $3 million in donated funds to leaders and organizers of the Ku Klux Klan, the Aryan Nation, and the National Alliance between 2014 and 2023. Yeah, the white right, the white supremacists that Sonny Houston's so afraid of, they're part of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Well, the rape allegation is shattering the Nazi Graham Plattner's far-left base, and his campaign is on death watch. It's swirling the toilet. Graham Plattner is running out of friends. The same left-wing coalition of wackadoodles that helped turn him into a rock star in Maine Senate race abandoned him Tuesday in the wake of rape allegations that have thrown into turmoil the Democratic Party's plan to unseat Rhino Susan Collins. The pressure on Plattner to quit spiked Tuesday when the far-left lunatic Bernie Sanders broke his silence and urged him to step aside so Maine Democrats could put a new candidate on the ballot. New York Mayor Zoran the Moran Mamdani, the poster boy for the party's hate wankers, also said it was time for Plattner to leave the race. They eat their own pretty quickly, don't they? Don't stand by him on allegations. Well, Obamacare continues to punish Americans, this corrupt rigging of the insurance market, which has driven up the cost of health care by about 400% since Obama, the moron, Barack Hussein Obama, and Nancy Pelosi, these retards, were in charge of this country. We're still suffering now with a 400% increase in the cost of health care under those retards, and it's still going up. Obamacare. Many Americans are straining to pay the Affordable Care Act, as I call it, the Unaffordable Care Act insurance, and will get no relief. 77 insurers enrolled in the ACA program have submitted rate filings that are publicly available. The average increase for next year is 14%. 14%. 14% increase. Seriously? Unbelievable. Well, the viral photograph of a black woman on a train with false flag white supremacists garnered a lot of attention. The Reuters photo shows a woman on a metro train on July 4th surrounded by masked members of a white supremacist group. Yes, you guys know them, the false flag operation. Bernita Bolding, and this sympathetic story by Jasmine Golden talks about this lovely young lady. She's a 33-year-old mother of two. Oh, images widely disseminated. On Monday, social media posts said she was arrested, but the charge was dismissed. But what they don't talk about is the video of her pulling down her pants and exposing her genitalia on the same train. Is that AI or is it real? Why doesn't the story address that? Because it's the racist Washington compost trying to sow racial discord. Well, if you get bought by Microsoft, guess what? The founders get rich, but the employees get the shaft. Doom developer ID Software is facing losses and will lose half of its staff. Wow. In the wake of Xbox's planned layoffs across its gaming division, which will impact 3,200 employees, 1,600 of those workers immediately let go yesterday. Doom developer ID Software has been hit particularly hard. Game developer reports that per its sources, its headcount has been reduced by around 50%. Now, ID, of course, is famous for Wolfenstein, Doom, and Quake. It was acquired by ZeniMax 2009 and purchased by Xbox in 2021. ID co-founder John Romero shared his condolences, of course. Yes, but the people who sold it in 2021 got $7.5 billion, so you're not very sincere in your condolences to the people who lost their jobs, 50% of your staff, to the evil empire of Microsoft. U.S. soccer officials have been banned from the Belgium game, and FIFA makes the right decision again. U.S. soccer officials barred by FIFA from Belgium World Cup match over apparent protocol violations. Sam Zapatka and Frank Pennell were barred after staff entered restricted areas in the Bosnia-Herzegovina game. FIFA issued suspensions to at least 2 key U.S. members of the U.S. Soccer Federation ahead of Monday's World Cup match with Belgium. ESPN reported the team manager Sam Zapatka and U.S. Soccer Federation Vice President Security Frank Pennell were the 2 staff members barred from the match. The U.S. went on to a shockingly embarrassing and pathetic performance, losing 4-1. ESPN citing sources also reported the suspension were likely tied to incidents that occurred during the team's victory over Bosnia-Herzegovina last week in the round of 32. Good. That's what should happen. You break the rules, you pay the price. Nobody's crying about this barring. They weren't even allowed to be there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the U.S.-Belgium soccer game was the most watched paint drying fest in the history of the United States. According to Fox, 30 million people watched the game, including me, at least for half, and then I just couldn't stomach the turgid performance anymore. Fox said 30 million people watched the game. Audience peaked at more than 36.8 million people between 9:15 and 9:30. That topped the previous mark with Bosnia-Herzegovina the previous week. Can you imagine if the U.S. had actually gone on to the semifinals or the final? There'd be 100 million people watching this. But nobody cares. Nobody cares about that crap. Nobody cares about that crap. Oh, what else we got here? I'm looking for something from Ronaldo. Ronaldo did send me a link. Okay, cool. So we'll be able to go live Ronaldo's on time then. That's cool. Anyway, so, gosh, folks, we just can't get over that 129,000 threshold. And my TikTok video is not doing anything. It's so sad. I'm losing a subscriber. My videos are not performing this week. Strange. Really strange. I've had 1, 2, 3 that have less than 3,700 views. That's really bad. So when that happened before, when I had a string of videos that produced less than 5,000 views, I just quit making videos. That was in November 2024. Anyway, so there's a lot of work goes into that, a lot of effort, and you have to look at risk versus reward and return on investment. So that's the bottom line, return on investment. All right, we've got refugee interviews tomorrow, probably One on Saturday as well. Lots coming up, folks. That's the one I want right there. Cool beans. Okay. Wow. Yeah, Neff, it might be, but also there's some strange things going on with data, and it's happening to a lot of. I think it's just YouTube's got problems right now, so I don't know if these are actual real stuff. I haven't updated my Substack in a long time. I probably should. Let's see. Yeah, on July 4th it said I had just 6,000 views. Now it says I have 24,000. You know, that's something weird going on there. Something weird going on with YouTube. But I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It makes you wonder if they actually, you know, if they actually catch all the revenue from advertising, you know. That is right now the largest source of income of the channel. That's about 40% of the revenue is from ads. 45%. Anyway, I appreciate that. New Olive doesn't get notifications. Yeah, that happens. You have to go back and unsubscribe and resubscribe again. Heading back to bed. I'm sorry you had a long day. Khasigi and thoughts, you know, says Liberty today in IC7. Are you serious? That's in the Mediterranean. My thoughts on it? Israel was wrong. Bumhurt after national team loss. No, I'm not bumhurt at all. They're pathetic. They were brilliant for 2 games, useless for a game against Turkey, great against Bosnia, and useless against Belgium. That showed you just how inconsistent they are. No, Xbox is not shutting down, but they're changing their strategy. Would love to shake your hand when touchdown. Okay, cool. Don't care much for soccer prima donnas. Yeah, I know. They're a bunch of actors. Funny how she was about to drop a turd and they hid that. She also is likely safe as she's ever been with all the Patriots on the same train. Exactly. They do eat their own very quickly, and this is what the leftist loons don't seem to learn from history. Exactly. And once the leftists have taken over and subjected us to socialism and stolen all of our capital and our property and made us all useless drones, then the radical Muslims will eliminate them. Yep. 379 watching. We got 397 now. We got 265 likes, though. That's a good point. Not many likes. Let's fix that. Let's hit that like button. Come on. You can do it.
That was easy.
See? Just hit the like button. Piece of cake. Come on. Do you know how we haven't seen in donkey years on the channel? Arctic. And Lori Lettinen. Southern poverty, just like Bell Pottinger. Yep. Similar sort of situation. Canada's so woke they have to change the ranks to be compatible with the soldiers' pronouns. Yep. Yeah, they've been using the U.S. footing the bill. What about a Nigerian prince that was giving away all that money online? I don't know anything about that. Yes, using electric vehicles in town does keep pollution down in town, but it doesn't reduce the pollution generated from power plants unless they're nuclear. If all the electricity for EV charging came from nuclear sources, then it would be a net win. Except it's ultimately not a net win because the carbon emissions that were produced in digging out the rare earth elements that are necessary and the lithium for those batteries and for the parts in that engine and for that electrical system and for that vehicle and the shipping of them across the planet, the manufacture of them, it takes about a dozen years. Well, no, that's for solar panels. Sorry. For a car, I don't know how long it takes. I don't have the answer on that one. But all the carbon emissions, all the pollution emitted from the manufacture of electric vehicles far surpasses that of internal combustion engines. And you can't drive long distances in them. And they overheat. But they are getting better. Anyway, there you go, folks. All right, it's time for us to wrap up, unfortunately. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done already. If you like, you'll be redirected over to Ronaldo, okay? Only 100 loft service, 400 private suites reported to be occupied. Yeah, well, Eugene, if I was there, I would be occupying not a suite, but I would be in the press box there. Unfortunately, I won't be in South Africa, so shame I can't. Well, never thought about that. No, Linzicki, EVs are not better. It's a scam. Solar panels are not better. It's a scam. Solar panels, I can tell you that it takes at least 12 years before the amount of carbon emitted by generating electricity through coal-fired power stations. Coal-fired power stations equals the carbon emissions from producing and installing solar panels. 12 years on average. 12 years. There's no gain. There's no gain. You gain a hell of a lot more by planting 100,000 hectares of trees to absorb all the carbon. Comments. New Truth. All comments replaced 8 months ago. Should I submit again as I've not heard anything since applying May 25? Okay, New Truth. Stop right there. Are you talking about the refugee program? If you sent a statement of interest in May of last year and you've never done anything since then, you will never be called. Are you listening? You will never be called. You will never be called. You are not in the refugee program. I've only done countless videos and countless live streams and told people over and over again, that you must submit the intake questionnaire from 4 November. If you don't, you're not going anywhere. So New for Truth, if you haven't done intake questionnaire, you need to go to the U.S. Embassy website and click on the link for refugees. Read the instructions. Do it on a laptop or a PC, not on a mobile, not on a tablet, and be prepared to spend up to 7 hours. All right? Okay, that's it, guys. I'm done. Trevor. Evidence supplied. I noticed you didn't comment on the latest video. Evidence supplied. The channel shown. Since you weren't willing to go look for the information yourself, expecting me to share it with you, it's shared. Trevor, watch the latest video. It's there. All right? That's going to do it for this, folks. I'll see you in Ronaldo in a few minutes. Cheers.